Start. So without further ado, I'm going to start turning it over. We have Rachel Kinsall, Jesse Bohannon, Josh Rogers, and then Katrina Pollard that are all going to speak today. And so I think we're going to start off with Rachel if you're ready. All right. And Rachel, if you need, I can give you screen sharing privileges.
Yeah. If you mind, I will.
Not a problem. Now you should be able to do that.
Okay. I sent this document to Marcus, and I am, can you see my screen? Did I do it right?
I can't see it.
Okay. Share. Okay. Okay. I can't figure out how to share it. It says, it's okay. I don't need to share it. I can just tell you about it. I'm talking about the wedding standard. And basically we do this kind of at the end of the semester. And I feel like even though it's really just, it's weddings and funerals, but specifically the wedding portion of it. But it really encompasses like every standard that you've been through so far in the semester. I did it as a PBL, project-based learning. Our school is really big on PBL, and a lot of times I feel like if you just say those words, they'd let you do anything you want to do. And so what we did was a wedding PBL, and without going into a whole lot of detail about specifically PBL, because I'm sure you guys have heard about it, but it's really like student driven. And so basically what I did is we used the counselor and another like fun male teacher who I thought would play along. They were our bride and groom. And I proposed to the class that they were getting married, and kind of started out with an interest approach. You can do a wedding video and have them write down everywhere they see flowers throughout the wedding video, pull up Pinterest pages or whatever just to get them kind of excited about it, and told them just a little bit that Miss Finley and Coach Paul were getting married, and they were going to come in for a consultation. So we brainstormed all the different questions that you would need to ask a bride and groom. What's your budget? What colors are you looking for? How many bridesmaids? How many groomsmen are you going to have in your wedding? What's the location? All that kind of stuff. And we kind of created a list as a class before they came in for the consultation. Now, I did prep my bride and groom because obviously I told them the budget that we wanted to use, told them the location, and told them some flowers to stay away from for budgetary reasons and things like that. And then the kids did a consultation with them, and then they had to put together a proposal. So they came up with different pictures, mostly from Pinterest, for ideas that would help implement the bride and groom's vision for their day. Then my bride and groom came back, and the kids presented their proposals with price sheets. So they had to price everything out. And then they picked one of the proposals, and we actually implemented it. The cool thing about this project is because our administration really grabbed hold to it and really loved it, because we incorporated a lot of different groups in the school. We have a culinary program. So basically it was one big event, and I didn't coordinate a lot, but I kind of told the culinary teacher what I was doing, and they got with our bride and groom and also did a consultation and actually did the food for a reception that we had the day of. They did consultations with our cosmetology group, and our bridesmaids and bride went up and got their hair done on the day of the wedding from cosmetology. Ag Mechanics built an arbor that the bride and groom wanted. The band, that we actually had a wedding band that came from our band and drama, our band and chorus classes. We have an audio visual class, and they did a wedding video. And then our marketing class did the programs and the invitations. And
Rachel,
so,
I want to interrupt you. I don't know if you can see, but I've shared my screen, so you're able to see it. Okay, all right. Just tell me what you want me to do.
Well, really, I just wanted to, and I sent this to Marcus because really, like, if you're trying to I just kind of felt like this is good documentation. You can look through, it shows like all the details. But if you have to upload a lesson plan, here it is. If your admin wants to know more about like, if you've thought through this whole thing, here it is. It also kind of gives you like the step-by-step on exactly how to do a PBL. So this does take a while. It's a pretty intensive project, but I broke it up. So like we did the consultation and then they worked on the proposal. Then I went back and looked through it to make sure like, okay, well, did you forget this or did you forget this or have you thought about this? And I think the one thing that the kids had the biggest problem with was like they would see a picture on Pinterest, but then they would say, well, how many roses do you think I need for that? Or how many carnations do you think I need for that? So I would go around and help them with that part of it. And then they also had to figure out how much they needed to buy, how many bundles they could get. So I thought it was really good, like problem solving portion for them too, because they had to stay within that budget and kind of go from there. So I feel like I rattled through that pretty quick. But I really think the key component to this is like trying to involve as many other CTAE classes as you can. And really it doesn't put any more work on you because they're all doing their own thing and they're all coordinating their part. Like we put together this wedding day, but all I coordinated was the flowers and everybody else did the food. And we actually held the event and a lot of the other classes that weren't involved came out and watched. But the only people that got to go to the reception for food's sake were the kids that were actively involved in the wedding. But we had our principal and admin, they were like mother of the bride, and one of our assistant principals was the father of the bride and walked her down the aisle. So it was really, really fun. As far as like budget goes, we are fortunate. We have a really successful flower membership program that funds our class. So we could spend $500 on this wedding, but you could do it much cheaper. You could have a December themed wedding and use a lot of magnolias and cypress and things that you could scavenge and find for free. So you can make it as expensive or as cheap as you want to make it. So I guess that's kind of my spiel. I don't know if anybody has any questions, but.
All right. I'm going to leave this up until we're done with this. Anyone have any questions for Rachel? That seems like a pretty intense project with cross-curricular opportunities galore. So anyone have any questions?
Where did you get your funding from it all?
Where did you get the funding from it all?
Yeah, okay. So we do a Flower of the Month membership and have been really successful with that, partially because I don't know if this is one of the topics or not, but our special education class does delivery for us within a certain radius of the school. And so we have about 60 Flower of the Month members. And I charge about $20. It's basically $20 an arrangement. The arrangement only costs me $10. So I'm making $10 on each membership, each arrangement. So I've been able to raise money for our program through that. Doing this fake wedding has also opened the doors. We've done 3 like real weddings since then. So we've been able to make money off that too. So I kind of feel like doing this showed people that we could do a wedding and was really good advertisement for our program.
All right, Rachel. Shelby Key wants to know, how long does it usually take you in planning this event?
Okay.
Planning and the duration.
So, sorry, let me pull up my calendar from last year. I can tell you exactly what it was. So we had about, I introduced it and we prepped for the client consultation on one day. Then we did the client consultation and they started working on their proposals. And then there were 2 days, and I'm on block schedule. So it's a big project, but there were 2 days where they just prepared for their client proposals, and I had them give them to the class too, so they could make sure they hadn't left anything off. And then we presented to the person. We actually did the client presentations, But after you do the client presentations, then you don't do anything else. And then we did 2 days of wedding prep and then wedding day. So that totals up to be 10 days on block schedule. But I mean, I don't know. I always have a hard time filling floral design except for those like days where we're actually designing stuff. So it wasn't a problem for me that it took so many days.
All right. And then Brianna Berry, well, Ashley Theron, just so that you know, yes, everything that is shared today will be sent out to anybody that's on this, that shares their email with us. And then also, Brianna Berry wants to know, for the florist, do they have an online catalog for flowers, or do you require them to call the florist to get pricing? Also,
Okay.
what wholesale florist do you use?
I use Flowers Inc. out of Athens. And basically what I do is every time I call Flowers Inc., I'm like, do you have a price sheet? The answer is no. They never have a price sheet because it changes every day. They don't even have a list of flowers that they have. So I have started my own. So every time that I get something new, I add it to my price sheet. And it might change a little bit, but it's real close. So I use that as a kind of a way to get an estimate. And if they want to use something that's not on my sheet, then we make a list on the board, because I don't want to bother my rep like every 5 minutes. But we'll make a list on the board of all the flowers they want me to check on. And at the end of the period, I call and get prices for those 5 or 10 flowers, you know, that I didn't have on my sheet.
All right. And then Rachel, question from Barb Saunders. Is that membership $20 per year or per arrangement? And then how many months do you do that during the school?
So we do $20 per arrangement, and that's per month. So I'm actually going up this year to $25 an arrangement. And I don't think anybody's going to bat an eye at that. I do like, so they would pay $100 at the beginning of the semester. And like most of them are delivery. I have a handful of people that come to the school and pick them up, but most of them are delivery. So working with your special ed department is like super clutch, because I don't think I would have as many people do it if they had to come to me and pick them up.
Yeah, I can vouch for that. I'm in a neighboring county, and I've heard about the way that you incorporate your special ed, and people that I've talked to like that a whole lot. So anyway, all right. Any other questions for Rachel and the mock wedding that goes on? All right, Rachel, I think that's it. Thank you very much for that. All right, and then the next person will be Jesse Bohannon. So let me give Jesse the Jesse, do you need to share your screen or anything?
Yeah, I have a Pinterest board, but it's easier to talk with that.
That's fine. Let me give you co-host rights here. All right, you should be able to share your screen now.
All right, did that work?
It did. Go right ahead. Thank you.
Okay, perfect. So I am going to talk about modern flower arrangements. So if you've been doing floral design for a little while, I'm so sorry, y'all. My dogs are about to go nuts because I'm talking. If you've been doing floral design for a little while, you probably know that there are some trends that have stuck around for maybe 10 years or so, like the wire and any wire working. Like there's a cuff bracelet you can see right here on the front. That's probably not going to be a deco wire. That's probably going to be a purchase because it's so wide, but you can make those with the large flat wire. Greenery arrangements are really popular, from wedding bouquets with succulents to just full-blown green arrangements. People are incorporating everything from balloons to vegetables. Like this one has peppers with orange roses. And the craziest thing for me is pampas grass is like in. I don't know, maybe growing up in South Georgia, pampas grass was never cool to me, but apparently it's like really in for weddings because we actually had a lady who asked us if we could get her some for her house. So if you have a student that needs an SAE project, rolling right on with the modern floral design, you can dry pampas grass and then blow dry it with a hair dryer, and they sell for anywhere between $7 and $10 a stem, which again, it's pampas grass. That stuff grows like crazy here. So yeah, dried seed pods are really in for any arrangements, especially wedding work. Sticks are still in. I thought that they would kind of slow down a little bit, but I keep seeing them. One thing that has become a little bit more popular in the past maybe 4 to 5 years is the more natural look, and this will reflect back on some of the like Baroque period and some of the other periods in floral design where it was just large mass arrangements and they look a lot more natural. I personally prefer the natural look arrangements. They have a lot more texture, more movement, and you can use a lot more unique pieces because you don't have to have 12 of them. You can buy that one stem of dahlia or whatever. So that works out really good for the high school class. Some of the more structured arrangements are still in, not as popular anymore as they were maybe 10 years ago, but like the red rose with the monstera leaves and ruscus, those are still popular in certain avenues. So just modern floral design is, to me, it's more about using natural pieces like palmetto leaves with the pink anthuriums. It's also about, I try to use things from my greenhouse. That's what we consider like using the stuff around us. So we use a lot of succulents. We use aspidistra or cast iron plant that we have growing at the school, pittosporum. We use greenery from trees, like in the winter months, we'll grab some magnolia leaves or whatever to put in there. We grow some dusty miller in raised beds. There's a lot of different things that you can do. Like she was actually just talking about with the wedding work to lower your cost on some of these arrangements. And sometimes with modern arrangements, people worry that they're going to be too costly or they're not going to be able to sell them for a high enough price to cover some of the materials. But if you can get some kids to bring in some things, or you can go out and as a class and scavenge, you can really do a lot with a little. I really didn't have much else because modern is kind of a broad category, and I thought about it for a long time and ended up trashing the PowerPoint that I had made. So if anybody has any questions or anything, please go ahead with that.
Thank you, Jesse. If anybody has any questions, go ahead and type them in. Also, if you have not done so, please type in your name and your school into the chat so that we can get record of your attendance, please. Any questions for Jesse? All right, seeing none. If there are questions, they can come up later. It's not a problem. But seeing none, thank you, Jesse. We're going to move on to Josh Rogers, please. So, Josh, do you need to be able to share a screen?
No, I don't require that.
All right, good deal. Well, then feel free. Go on ahead.
Okay, and I'll just start by saying it might have been a coincidence, but myself and the last two presenters came out of the UGA program about the same time. So we might just have a little bit of an idea on this. That would be a tangent, but I picked the cultural, historical, and religious standard. I think this is one that maybe we dread or we overlook, try not to spend a lot of time on, but I think it's a great way to become a whole teacher in your school. Look at a history teacher. They're going to need to be, waking the kids up, talking about Islam and Judaism and Hinduism, and you might hear the kids cramming it, dredging a test, but we can put a real thing to it with floral design. 3 aspects that I pulled out of that I think you can utilize these during the year is I have in my South Georgia community a rising population of Hispanic students, and just to be specific, they have Mexican heritage and they celebrate Dia de Muerto, which is going to be our Halloween for the most part. In that, they really utilize marigolds, which we're going to usually see as a spring plant in our greenhouses. And because of that, you probably might look it up and see that's available in the summer and the fall. So you might order some, thinking that you have to do both duty and have it in the greenhouse, maybe have a fall sale, but have an activity there or another option to sell. You're going to want to cut them. Little advice on cutting any of your fresh flowers. I know that Miss Jessie alluded to it in hers that, yes, utilize everything you have, but you're going to also need a hardening off process. And most of us who've taught horticulture, we know that for our bedding plants. You've got to have it for your floral as well if you don't want to use it instantly. So if that event is that afternoon and you don't have the time for the hardening off, or you didn't test out some first in your crop, you're going to want to wait till the last minute to add those into some kind of design. You've got a soft herbaceous in a marigold. You're going to want to utilize water picks probably. That's another skill that not the average student is going to know. So you have to make sure, did I put that in my curriculum to teach the students to cut enough material to get it in? Do I have the water picks on hand? Do I have them readily available to do whatever size I want to utilize? And I think just making an appreciation there, even if it's just one student, guys, don't worry about I have 5, 17, however many in my class. I mean, you can reach out and you can really make an impression on a student to have that connection. So you're one Hispanic student and maybe their family is the only one in the community, but you share that interest that you know. I'll go ahead and move on. I think a real popular one is bud vase. I have an experience of getting a lot of bud vases that I don't know what to do with. And I find an activity every semester to send them home, get them out of my classroom. I have a great connection. I'll use this time as a platform. I have a great connection with 3 brick and mortar florists in my county. And you need to do the same. I'm not telling anyone to stop selling roses at Valentine's Day or stop selling prom arrangements, or Miss Rachel had a wonderful wedding activity. Gosh, that just blew it out of the water. But make sure that you are talking with them and understanding that it's a struggling business now in our generation. And it's not for a bad reason. It's because this generation is DIY. They want to do it themselves. And you're teaching that also. But there's somebody who's making a living also in your community. So you need to find a good compromise. You need to have an open contact. You need to invite them to your advisory board. Don't lose that in this industry. I think in agriculture, we only worry about our feed and seed store and our producers and things. If we're teaching in the classroom, you got to find that industry contact that is recognized and that you're teaching your kids that you appreciate and are being a positive impact for. So the bud vase, there's not a whole lot in the fall. It's pretty much a wild card. Find any reason to make a bud vase and it's fine. I jotted down in my paper here, Veterans Day, our ROTC program does a program, lasts half a day. And we have, a lot of dignitaries come and all the veterans in the community, but we are asked to make arrangements. So along with maybe your more advanced students or your after school FFA students that are going to be putting together a podium piece or table arrangements, maybe your students in class can be doing a bud vase that's going to require a little less material, but you already got the order coming in. Order a little more to cover that. You only need a few cuts of leather leaf and some baby's breath. And if you really want to splurge, 3 roses. That can be 3 carnations, and you've cut the price in half. So, do the homework on it, and then they have something to take home. All right. My kids love shop because they made a stool and a toolbox and a birdhouse, and they took it home. Give them that aspect. If you're the horticulture teacher, give them something that they can really, hang their hat on, bring home to mom, get them on your side. In the spring, you have a lot more opportunities. Valentine's Day, obviously Mother's Day, you name it. They're all out there. So give them an opportunity to put it together and send it home. My last one is an activity that maybe we look over. I've heard of some great programs. I know Miss Abby Needham, when she was at Loganville, did a great wreath making, and I think y'all are out there that still do that. You maybe go to a city park and cut all the Leland cypress that you want, or, you know, they're pruning up the ballpark and you can get some out of the outfield. But anyway, greenery as it is. Look at another kind of wreath. Look at grapevine wreath. You might already have a student doing an SAE project that is harvesting pine straw, or maybe folks manage some timber, and you've got a lot of invasive muscadine and local grapes. Some of that could be some landscape kids, that could be some natural resource kids. It's probably out in the community anyways. And just asking people to, they benefit by cleaning up their property. The students can have learned a skill from you to make grapevine wreaths, get a free product, make it, sell it if that's the way you want to go with it, or make it more community related and donate it. Either way, teach them how to make the skill. It just takes getting those vines and either doing a weaving kind of option, or I've seen them done very crassly, and they're just rolled in big bundles and tied in with wire. And that was a student who worked for his father in a pine straw business, and he got brought up not doing the pine straw, but making these wreaths, and then they would take them into town to the florist shops and sell them to them. And, you know, that's something that's lost sight there. That florist shop's got to go order something, and with shipping and everything else, probably pay a premium. But somebody local in their community making these things, they can sell them to a lower price because it didn't cost them anything. They were already cleaning out pine straw and everything else, cleaning up a property and acquiring it. So I don't have a document to share, but I like this standard. I think it's a great way to connect with your students. Happy to answer any questions, and just don't write it off as a chance to really show some knowledge to these students about what things mean. And I guess, as probably some literature would say, that, you know, it's a rose is a rose is a rose, but it's really not. And us agronomists know that a rose is not in my cornfield. It's a weed in that aspect. But in our own society, at one time, a lady shouldn't have been walking around the street with a yellow rose because that meant infidelity. And we've come a long way from that, but it's a good historical pick. So I'll leave it for any discussion. Thank you.
Thank you, Josh. That was some good stuff. Does anybody have any questions for Mr. Rogers? All right, good deal. Thank you. If you have questions for Josh, then please just put them in the chat. Otherwise, we're going to go ahead and move on to Katrina. Katrina, if you would, you can take over. Thank you.
All right, guys. So I'm going to share my screen with you guys. And my husband probably would tell you that I'm an oversharer. I like to help everybody with everything. So the first page I'm going to show you is a selfless plug. If you're not part of the Ag Teacher Share Group, this is a wonderful place for lots of ag teachers. They post on Facebook. In case you also didn't know, we started an Ag Teacher Share Drive. And on here is tons and tons of lesson plans and things, especially as we get started with virtual learning. And if you needed to be added to that, you can let me know and we'll get you added. I also wanted to share my Pinterest board. I have tons of stuff on my floral design thing, but one of the ones that I wanted to show you specifically, and Marcus asked me to talk about something, but I don't remember what it was. But I've got it on here. Don't worry, Mr. Pollard. But I like to do, one of the things that I like to do is tissue paper arrangements, because they're cheap and people will give you tissue paper. And so my students make hundreds of flowers out of tissue paper, and it's a disaster in my lab, but it literally costs me cents on the dollar. And so my computer's being really slow, I'm sorry. But anyways, if you'd like to follow me on Pinterest, I have tons of tissue flower arrangements on there. I'm trying to find one. And like I teach a lot of special needs students in my floral design class. And so they think this is awesome. And if they mess it up, we just throw it in trash and make a new one. And so it's just literally folding and cutting tissue paper in different sizes, and there's a video going, and you can do different kinds based on how you cut it. It's awesome. So I love tissue paper flowers. Sorry. Now to what I'm supposed to talk about. I love the sympathy flower arrangement bereavement unit in Floral Design. It's usually really, really challenging to talk to kids about funerals and people dying and trying to make it so that it's not awkward. And so if you don't know about Communities in Practice with NAAE, I found it on here. She has it laid out step by step, day by day. I love it. And essentially the kids are killing a cartoon character. And so like they have Barbie, Scooby-Doo, who else? Roger Rabbit, like all kinds of different things. And so I'm trying to find the right Instagram post. Sorry. Wrong one. And so my kids, sorry, my thing keeps getting in the way. I'm going to go through all of them before I show you the right one. Here it is. And so kids make a stand spray arrangement for their cartoon character. They're given a $50 budget, and it's all on the Communities in Practice website, and I can post that in the chat if you want to look at it. There's all of the cartoon characters have obituaries. Some of them are kind of funny, and they have to present their spray to the class and tell about their cartoon character and read their obituary. And so to me, it's hilarious, and it just puts a little bit of a fun twist on an otherwise kind of dark and gloomy topic. The woman that created this, Buzz Lightyear, so talks about where he died, how he died, super funny. I print these out. I let the kids get in groups, typically of 4, and they get to pick their cartoon character. And then she has also created this awesome worksheet for the kids to have, and I give each group one of these, and it talks about how many days they're going to have to design, how many days are they going to have to plan. They have a deadline of when they have to get the flower order to me. Like my flower deliveries come on Wednesday, so I have to have their flowers by Monday morning before they leave, so that I can place it to make sure that my wholesaler can get my flowers to me. And then she's got a rubric on here. It's awesome. Makes my life so much easier. We usually it takes 2 weeks. I'm on a 55-minute period, and so we usually take about 2 weeks. They do all the planning, and then they have the week prior, and then that Monday they get their flower order to me, and then they start. I make them sketch out their design before they start placing flowers. And they do that on like Tuesday. Wednesday, the flowers are there. They start soaking foam, all that good stuff, taping down, whatever they need to get their stuff ready. And then Wednesday, usually they get there in time for the floral design class, the flowers do. And so then they start placing them. And then we have the funerals on Thursday and Friday. So I love this project. Not sure how I'm going to quite do it if we have to do virtual this year, but that's another topic for another day. And then I wanted to share some really awesome websites that I have found over the years. This is Mr. Robertson or Miss Robertson. I came across this website. It literally has all of their PowerPoints, their handouts, their lesson plans for how they do their floral design class. And I'll share this too in the chat after I stop screen sharing. And so this has been godsend. I love to teach floral design. It's like my favorite class because it's hands-on. But in addition to floral design, she also, or he also, I don't know, has AgMech 1 and 2, plant science and ag communication. So if you teach those classes too. And then Gridley Floral, if you don't follow them on Instagram, you're missing out. They're phenomenal. They're out in California, and they do some amazing stuff. So amazing that they have already, with all their success, they purchased 2 vans to transport their flowers, like air conditioned or refrigerated vans. And she has her Floral Google Drive of stuff that she has collected over the years, and she just has it on there for everybody to have. And so it's really awesome. I steal a bunch of stuff from her. I feel like teaching is all about stealing and, you know, revitalizing to what you have. There's no sense in reinventing the wheel. And so, like, she has her worksheets, stuff for the contest. Granted, it's California, but still so many resources out there. Let's see if I can move this down. Sorry. And then I was going to show you some Instagram posts about kids and their projects that they've done in floral design with me. I like lots of hands-on. Josh was talking about going around the school and using greenery. We do that with this Christmas arrangement. I don't sell these. I let the kids take them home. These are, I would say I put about $2 in them with the candles and the little balls and a little bit of ribbon. And we just go out and we hack up the Leland cypresses on campus, and the kids love this. It takes them about a week to get it done. They don't realize how much greenery and how meticulous they have to be. And then they have a nice arrangement for their mom for Christmas. And then, so that one's fun. Another one is this arrangement. The kids take yarn and do like paper mache around balloons. Super simple. And my special needs students especially love doing this project because, again, something they can come down or take home. Sorry. All the stuff that we do. We also do a monthly floral club, but all of the stuff that I do in class is paid for through that program. And then we're able to do all these cool kind of labs. And then this one, the kids really loved. Fruit's really expensive, but I got every kid to bring in a type of fruit, and we used the like fruit cutters from our FACS department, and we created edible fruit arrangements, and the kids loved that. And so it's just something easy and fun to do. We've also talked about if we're going to do virtual, creating like little boxes with ribbon and the really cheap wreath forms to send home with kids, like to do drive through and pick up, so that they can make wreaths, or doing small projects like these that they could do on their own. So just some ideas. My wholesaler, we use Halls out of Atlanta, but in Burke County, I used a different one. I used a different one in Gainesville. So there are wholesalers all around the state that are willing to work with you. My wholesaler, something cool that I do with them is if it's getting later on, you know, with some flowers kind of looking dead, he'll put in stuff that looks kind of trashy that he wouldn't give to his regular florist. He'll throw them in my order because he knows that I'm not selling it. And so that's building those relationships that Josh was talking about earlier. I've also done that with florists when they're cleaning out their coolers. It's just one of those things, once you build those relationships, that you can get some cool things from them, and they'll come in and do some stuff with your students as well.
All right. Thank you there, Dr. Pollard. I wanted to share a few things that were coming in the chat. Dixie McCarty said something earlier about there's a book, The Language of Flowers, that has the meaning of flowers of the Victorian times in the appendix. It is a very interesting book. According to her, white rose means a heart unrequited with love, which makes it funny when a modern bride uses them for her wedding. So there's that. A lot of questions about purchasing flowers. I would suggest, you know, looking at where you're at, and maybe some of the ones that have already been suggested would apply to you. But if not, maybe talk to your area horticulture teacher And then Josh Rogers had a question specifically about your project, Katrina, about do you create flower prices or are they for real at a $50 budget? And do you have custom sized foam spray that is smaller to accommodate the $50 budget?
Yes, we do a smaller version. My wholesaler has gotten me mini spray stands, like from somewhere, I'm not sure. And so they're only like $3 for the miniature ones. And then I make them use, we don't do a markup price. That's like $50 wholesale. Like they can't spend over $50 wholesale.
All right, thank you very much. Wreaths stuff. Dollar Tree has the cheapest wire wreath frames. For wreaths, I like to do a pine cone wreath as well. Maggie Reeves says for the fall. We spray paint the pine cones orange, red, and gold. I can get behind the red. I don't know about the orange. That's not my college colors. Then add a few silk flowers. She uses the frame from Dollar Tree as well. All right. If you have any more questions, please certainly put them in the chat. Ashley Sapp had a question about floral coolers. While people are thinking about their response for floral coolers, which brands to buy, where to buy them, etc., please welcome Miss Melissa Riley. Thank you. Melissa, do you need to share your screen?
No, sir.
All right, good deal. Thank you.
I'm actually working on the floral cooler thing. I was about to put it up. So I just wanted to get on here real quick and tell everybody about a floral design workshop that is going to be coming up on the C-turn. It's not posted yet. I'm working on it. It's just taking a little bit longer to get through the process, but it's going to be completely online via Zoom, and it will be Tuesday, August the 4th. It's going to be pretty much an all-day workshop, which I realize is a lot, but I'm working with some florists that are going to go through the entire floral design scorecard. So we're going to take each individual standard and we are going to break it down. And so you're going to have basically 3 examples in front of you on the screen, and it's going to be kind of like a good, the bad, the ugly. And they're going to go through and be like, okay, this is balance, and this is a really bad example of balance, and this is why it's bad. And this is a really good example of balance, and then this is an exceptional example of balance. And we're going to go through the entire, basically the entire scorecard. And then after we go through all the principles of design, everybody's going to bring greenery from your yard or school or wherever you cut it from. And they're going to go through how to teach the principles of design using just greenery. Color is going to be a little interesting with that, not having any flowers, but for people who are on a budget, it's going to be kind of a simple way to teach principles of design using only greenery. So that right now is scheduled for Tuesday, August the 4th. As soon as I get the final go-to from the resource network, it will be up and posted, and it's going to be open to like 150 or 200 people. So it should have plenty of room for everybody, we are hoping. And I think, oh, another thing that Marcus asked me to cover. So kind of bouncing off what Josh said earlier, make sure that you're working with your floral people in your community. I know a lot of people do prom flowers and lots of arrangements and things for, you know, their school system, but try not to undercut your local supporters. From a region standpoint, that makes it really difficult on us, which I know that's probably not your #1 priority, but we used to do this really huge floral design workshop at the camp in Covington every single year, and some of you guys probably remember going to it. And we have a really hard time getting florists to agree to do that anymore, because a lot of the florists are like, hey, we have taught your FFA teachers how to make all this stuff, and now they're going back to the school and they're selling wedding flowers and they're undercutting us because they can sell it for way cheaper than they are. They don't have employees they have to pay. They don't have building rental. They don't have electricity bills. They're getting things at a wholesale price, and then they're not charging tax. They're not charging all of this stuff. And basically we are killing our industry that we're trying to bring students into. And so it's really hard to get support and get people who are willing to come in and teach breakout sessions and workshops and things like that whenever we're kind of cutting off our own foot there, because we're going and selling things for $10 and $15, $20 less. So I just encourage anybody who is wanting to do some kind of floral workshop, go talk to your local florist and find out, you know, what are you selling things for, and try to be as comparable as possible. That just really makes a good working relationship with them, and also helps out Georgia FFA in the long run. And if anybody has any questions for me, I'm happy to answer them, but that was all I had.
Thank you, Melissa. Kaylee Blevins, she said, easy cut and come again flowers to grow for use in the class. Zinnias, branching sunflowers will supply for you for 3 to 4 weeks. Celosia, plume, and cress, globe, amaranth, and basil. I teach forestry and agmech, so. But anyway, that's that. Any other questions that may pop up, we'll certainly address them. What we've done the last 2 sessions that I thought were very helpful, you know, there's obviously concern right now with going virtual and how in the world you're going to teach some things virtually. And so if anybody has an idea about what you're planning to do moving forward in the virtual unknown world that we're living in right now, by all means, please share what you're thinking about doing with floral design virtually. Melissa, it seems like you just provided a lot of good information right there. Thank you for that. We'll certainly share that with everybody in the email too.
This past spring, there was a really good choice board on I got it off one of the Facebook groups that had a lot of like craft-like projects, but I had some problems. I had a couple kids who contacted me because they didn't even have the like crayon, scissors, glue that they needed to do those projects. And so I delivered some of that stuff, but I think that's like my biggest concern with virtual. I requested some textbooks this year, and so I hate to say it, but my plan might be to send home some textbooks to kind of intermingle with trying to do some like arts and crafts type projects for floral design. But yeah, I was hoping somebody else had an amazing idea.
GWlearning.com. This has our floral design resource book online. That seems like a really handy resource. Josh just shared that. And then Melissa, you got a question from Ashley Theron. Will the workshop Melissa spoke about be taped and available after that day? Because they will be back in school already. Can you speak on the availability of that after it's done?
So our goal is to tape it, working on logistics of that right now. And then I'm going to work with Krista about getting small segments of that put up on the website somehow.
I believe Krista Steinkamp is in here as well. But if you come across something that you think is a really great online resource, please reach out to some folks about it, whether that be Krista or the GVATA area directors, whoever that may be, so that we can certainly share that. There's plenty of resources out there, I think now more than ever because of the online stuff. So when you find something that's good, please share it with us so that we can share it with the masses.
Hey, Marcus. I did want to share this, Brittany Schwing. I did want to share that I'm new to my position, but one of the goals that I have in this new position is to create similar a Google Drive that's organized by standard. And so I've already started that, or I've already got that for horticulture, and I've started it for floral design. And one of the things that that I created was for that standard 6 for learning to identify the plants and categorize them was like it's a PowerPoint or Google Slides where the students would go in and fill it out as like a class starter every day. I plan on sharing that. I can share it with you guys, and then I'm going to share it with Krista also to put on to the Georgia Ag Ed website so that it's easier to locate. But I would encourage you all, I had to do virtual learning from March until the very end because Tift County is 1-to-1. All students had Chromebooks, and so I would encourage you to try and go ahead and find ways now to make your standards fit in like a Google Classroom, Google Docs setting, so that way it's easier for you, and mostly though so you can hold students accountable, because they're going to come up with any and every excuse not to do whatever it is, whether it's not having crayons or they haven't had internet for 3 months. They're going to come up with something. But if there is any way that I can help anyone with getting resources, especially if you have a specific standard that you need help with, like reach out, because it's our job and we want to help you be successful in the classroom. So let us know what we can do to help you do that.
Awesome. Thank you, Brittany. There's been some good stuff shared too. Maggie Reeves said that she's found on YouTube the Floral Design Institute Flower School as well as Flowers Jews. I don't know. They have awesome videos on how to make arrangements. I use these both a lot when we had to leave school. So a lot of good stuff there. I want to remind everyone, if you have not done so, please, please, please type your name and your school in the chat. And does anyone else have any other questions? Right now?
I'd like to chime in on something.
Go ahead. Jess, go ahead.
So since we kind of ended on the distant learning and we're trying to find ways, and there was a great, I think it has to be budgeted effort of take home projects that somebody brought up. Don't lose sight of dig in your standard. Look at the principles of design. Look at the homework you could give somebody, to a student, to understand what they're doing and why they're doing it. Do it sort of like a reverse from the client interview to why you would use certain colors and flowers. You know, put them where they go and find that mystery client situation. Make them give an understanding to the world around them. There's a reason why Christmas works with red and green, and it's found in the color wheel. There's a reason why LSU, purple and yellow. There's a reason why Florida is orange and blue. There's a reason why they pick these things. Even though most of us, myself, dogs included, are confused at that, there's a principle behind why it works. And that didn't take any budget for flowers. It didn't take any hard materials right in front of them. But it's going to make them build a foundation that when they get those things in front of them, I think they would excel at a much faster rate. So that's my idea, just inquiry into the world, and for them to kind of investigate society around us on why we use colors in the way we do and what platforms. Thanks.
Thank you, Josh. Good stuff. Jessica Holloway shared, this has been a common theme throughout all of our professional development sessions. Plow has great videos to use on how to make various arrangements and basic skills in floral design. And so depending on the curriculum, or regardless of the curriculum, a lot of people are recommending Plow. So you may want to look into that. That is, of course, through One Less Thing and Alicia Tomlinson and Brian Tomlinson, great folks that have always been good to the profession. So that seems like a good resource to look into. Without further ado, I think we're done, you know. So I think that this has been great. Thank you everyone for sharing. Like I said, these sessions are largely, I mean, they are 100% successful based on whether or not you guys participate. And so for those of you that did participate, thank you. And for those of you that joined us, thank you. And we look forward to seeing everybody tomorrow morning at 10 a.m. on the session. So please come prepared to participate in that and in the future professional development sessions that we have throughout the week. You can, again, go back and find that on the calendar for that on the GVATA website. And if you have any questions, don't hesitate to reach out to the board. Any of your area directors or officers will be glad to help. Thank you, everyone. If you have any questions, some people will probably hang around, but we're going to stop recording, and we'll see you guys tomorrow morning.